Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
Rhea Ripley urged Charlotte Flair to challenge her at WrestleMania 41 this past Monday on WWE RAW. The Queen's triumphant return last Saturday at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, puts her directly in the main event spot at the spectacle. But the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble winner has not yet decided on which belt she will go after. Meanwhile, Io Sky and former Women's World Champion Liv Morgan battled for a spot in the Women's Elimination Chamber at Rogers Centre on March 1 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Sky was disqualified after Ripley interfered and attacked Morgan, crushing the Japanese star's road to WrestleMania Vegas in April. Taking to Instagram, Rhea Ripley shared a fan's post on her stories, noting she is upset that she accidentally cost her friend one of the most important matches of this season. Interestingly, the original post also featured a caption where the Instagram user writes that they want to see Rhea Ripley vs. Io Sky at WrestleMania 41. WWE Creative has supposedly laid the foundation for a collision course between the two. But it remains to be seen if the former women's champion finds another way to make it to the grand stage. Then there is Charlotte Flair, who has not yet decided on her opponent. Io Sky breaks silence following Rhea Ripley's betrayal on WWE RAW. Io Sky entered the Women's Royal Rumble on Saturday and emerged as one of the Iron Women of the bout. She entered at number 1 and lasted for 1 hour and 7 minutes, before getting eliminated by Nia Jax. Sky made the most of her opportunity this past Monday against Liv Morgan despite interferences from Raquel Rodriguez. When the latter continued to meddle in the situation, the Australian World Champion came out to assist her friend. However, it backfired as she was triggered by Morgan, whom she also laid hands on. Taking to X following the show, the Japanese star wrote, "Liv Morgan once again managed to get one over Io Sky after the former Women's World Champion successfully defended the belt against Sky at Saturday night's main event in December. Will the genius of the Sky race past her rival on the road to WrestleMania 41? The mood inside the Judgment Day's locker room was tense, almost suffocating. The betrayal that had unfolded on WWE RAW still lingered in the air, and at the heart of it all stood Rhea Ripley, seething, wounded, and more dangerous than ever. For months, Ripley had prided herself on being the backbone of the Judgment Day. She had held the group together through inner conflicts, orchestrated victories, and even manipulated her way into dominant positions both in and out of the ring. But now, in one single, devastating moment, her own faction had turned on her. Sitting alone in the dimly lit room, her Women's World Championship draped over her lap, Ripley clenched her fists. The betrayal wasn't just a loss of trust, it was personal. She had built the Judgment Day into what it was. She had fought alongside Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio, guiding them to championship gold and main event status. And now, they had chosen to cast her aside. Raw's shocking betrayal. It all started when Rhea walked into Raw expecting business as usual. She was fresh off a hard-fought title defense and looking forward to celebrating with her Judgment Day brothers. But the celebration never came. Instead, as she entered the ring, she was met with cold stares from Finn and Damian. Even Dominic, who had once looked at her with unwavering loyalty, wouldn't meet her eyes. Then, the unthinkable happened. Damian, the supposed leader of the faction, took the mic and said words that cut deeper than any steel chair shot. "Rhea, the Judgment Day needs to evolve. And unfortunately, that means moving forward without you." A sucker punch to the gut. Ripley barely had time to react before Dominic Mysterio, her so-called Dom, blindsided her with a cheap shot to the back. The arena gasped as Ripley fell to the mat, looking up in disbelief at the man she had protected, nurtured, and helped mold into a champion. The assault was merciless. Finn hit her with a coup de grace, Damian delivered the razor's edge, and Dominic, the one who had once followed her like a lost puppy, stood over her, sneering. The trio then walked away, leaving Ripley lying in the center of the ring, betrayed and humiliated. Backstage fallout, Rhea's fury unleashed. Hours had passed since the attack, but the rage still burned inside her. Bam! Ripley launched a steel chair across the locker room, sending it crashing into the wall. Her breathing was heavy, her jaw clenched so tightly it felt like it might snap. She wanted to scream, to tear apart everything in sight. Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, she had fought them all. But this was different. This was her family. The people she had trusted. And they had turned on her like she was nothing. Suddenly, a knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. It was Jey Uso. "Yo, mommy," Jey hesitated, stepping inside cautiously. "You good?" Ripley shot him a glare that could have burned a hole through the wall. "Do I look like I'm good?" she snapped. Jey nodded, understanding. He had been in her shoes before, betrayed, cast aside by family. He knew that pain. "Look, I know what it's like when the people you love turn their backs on you. You don't gotta go through this alone," he said sincerely. Ripley let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. "I don't need anyone. Not anymore." Jey sighed. "That's what I thought too, after the bloodline did me dirty. But trust me, getting revenge alone? It ain't as sweet as when you've got backup." Ripley looked at him for a moment, her mind racing. Backup. That's what she needed. If Judgment Day thought they could just toss her aside, they had another thing coming. A new alliance? Later that night, as Raw continued, Rhea Ripley stormed back into the arena, not as a broken woman, but as a warrior ready for war. The Judgment Day was in the ring, boasting about their rebirth and how they had cut off the weakest link. That was when the lights flickered. A familiar theme hit the speakers. Ripley emerged from the entrance ramp, a fire in her eyes that hadn't been seen in years. But she wasn't alone. Beside her stood Jey Uso. And behind them? Raquel Rodriguez. The Judgment Day had made a fatal mistake. They had underestimated Rhea Ripley. As she charged toward the ring, the fight was on. Rhea speared Dominic so hard he nearly folded in half. Jey traded punches with Damian, and Raquel, who had once been Rhea's biggest rival, now stood as her ally, taking the fight to Finn. The crowd erupted. Rhea Ripley wasn't done. Not even close. She had been betrayed. But now, she was coming for blood.